helicopter only, so it's a tracking mode. And it's jumping on the 710 north now. So that night sun that you see, the light is... It was, yeah, because the sheriff's watch commander thought it was too dangerous to keep following him on the ground, so they're just tracking mode only. LA County Sheriffs. Yeah. Cool. Yes, we are. We're alone. Yeah, surveillance mode only, Jack, and CHP has been authorized to take over when they get to the scene. So now he's on the northbound 5 from the 710. East LA. Reckless DUI. Silver Audi. Coming up to a lot of traffic. Oh, gosh, that was close. So helicopter only for now, guys. CHP can take over when they get here. We're in Boyle Heights. And we're solo up here. 9 is on its way. And you might be exiting here because of the heavy traffic. On Grande Vista. Okay, he's just on the back side of that wall, Jim. I think he just parked. And he's taking off again. Southbound Lorena from Atlantic. He's in Boyle Heights, entering East LA. Yeah. Okay. Washington. Oh, you turn now.
Are threatened.
And now to breaking news. A pursuit suspected of driving drunk, and Desmond Shaw is in Sky 2 overhead. Hi, Des.
Hi, Pat. Well, here we are coming into the City of Commerce as we are on Washington Boulevard, you can see, and getting on the freeway right now. This is a silver black Audi. I believe they said right around a 2010 model. You can see he turned the lights out. This is not the first time he's done this. That spotlight overhead, that's LA County Sheriff's Deputy spotlight as they have been trying to get this person to pull over. Wanted for DUI driving. It was originally, I believe, came in on LA County Sheriff's deputies with from the Carson Division. And so they have the air unit overhead, and they've been trying to get CHP involved in this pursuit. He was on the freeway, and then CHP was going to get involved, then exited the freeway, and then CHP was kind of like, should we or should we get involved in this? And so now here he is, no lights on, southbound on the 5, fairly high speeds at this point. You can see showing about 95 miles an hour as he heads southbound out of the City of Commerce and down towards Downing Path.
Considering for reckless drunk driving, is just really pretty incredible that he doesn't have his lights on, thinking that he's not being seen. Of course, then again, if he's inebriated, don't quite know what he could be thinking. at this point, but
you
as
got
you
it.
say, they've got
And CHP
the
could pick it
helicopter
up.
overhead, you're
It is
overhead,
on the freeway now.
and units
We're,
on the
southbound
ground.
now.
And it's interesting, at any moment, if he stays on the freeway, possibly CHP could get involved, right?
Yeah, definitely.
the,
and I mean, they weren't
Sheriff's
even talking
Department
about getting
canceled.
involved even when he wasn't
So
on the
right now
freeway.
there's nobody on
now
it.
the lights are back on, but really dangerous there when he's on someone's right-hand side
the
with no
airship
lights.
was
If that
told
person
to
was going to make a
cancel
lane
as well.
change, they could have
Although
plowed
he
right
hasn't
into
really
this
left
guy.
yet, but
They
he was told to
haven't
cancel
been able
also.
to see him. And then we're also talking about possible DUI in the mix. So definitely making things pretty
CHP
dangerous
could
for
pick it
folks
up
out here. At
though,
least he has
once
the
they
lights
get
back
into the
on.
area, so we're
At
just
this
gonna
point,
stick
you
with
can
it
still
till
see
that
that
happens.
spotlight from the
If it
sheriff's
happens.
helicopter, but don't see
Yeah.
any ground units behind him at the moment, and still waiting to see how CHP is going to handle this, if they're going to come in and be very aggressive, or if they're just going to hang back, or it doesn't look like they are officially engaged at all in this at this moment.
Yeah, and the speeds, if our speed tracker is right, I mean, this is pretty incredible, Desmond. We've seen 100 miles per hour. If that's, I would say that's pretty accurate. Look from where I'm sitting.
Yeah, he has been flying by some of these vehicles right now on the left side of the freeway, and then had the lights off as well. And we heard some pretty high speeds earlier when he was getting on the
Perfect.
northbound
Yeah, that should
710
be
from
CHP.
Florence, and then it sounded like within 30 seconds he was up towards the 5 freeway. So definitely some aggressive driving there. You see him cutting all the way over towards the right. And CHP, we heard, okay, there you go. There's the red blue lights from CHP. So they are indeed getting involved. So we're going to see how this person reacts to having the units directly behind him. And here we go. Here come the speeds now, up above
Alrighty,
100
Booth, we
miles
can
an hour.
call it a chase
wow.
now.
I think we're up
CHP
to
taking over.
135 at this point. We'll see how our speed tracker adjusts at this point. But we are going, I believe, underneath the 605 freeway.
Yeah, so now the
And so
CHP
now we
pulled
are
up, so
getting
now
into
it's
the city
a
of
chase.
Norwalk and down into a construction zone. We'll see if there's any
we're in Commerce,
Caltrans
guys.
construction. That was really close right there. It looked like
approaching,
he
Yes.
Santa
nearly
Fe
clipped
Springs,
that
actually.
innocent person as he was
We're on the
zigzagging
southbound
around
side.
that.
Is he approaching more traffic? Looks like it, Desmond. And look at him going right through those cars there. Now he's turned his lights off again.
Yeah.
You know, at one moment, wasn't it interesting? He put his blinker on as if to, signal a lane change.
I know, and there he goes again. He's got the lights off, but he's signaling. But with the lights off and just cutting right between two vehicles at high speeds like this, not to mention he can't see any possible hazards in front of him. So here we are over 100 miles an hour and pitch black. You don't even have any, freeway lights illuminating the roadway
Yeah,
at
we're
this
just
point.
south of that, Colleen.
So
we're actually
dangerous
getting
here.
a little bit
All
closer
it's
to
gonna
Downey
take
now
is
because
one
this
person,
guy is traveling
not
at
paying
very
attention
high
or just
speeds.
trying to
So
make a lane
he
change
is
and
getting
not seeing
to
this guy
different
because he's
cities
going
very
so
fast
fast and
here.
completely
You see
blacked
the
out.
speeds
And
there
he's got
from
his
you
lights
shop
off.
for
And,
Alpha,
I mean, a driver
100
could
miles
easily
an hour
panic,
plus.
not know
This
really
is
which
somebody
lane,
who is
where
in
to
a
go
silver
when you have
Audi, an
something
older
coming
model
up
Audi, and
on
the
you
person behind
that
the wheel
fast.
is
I'm sure you
believed
could
to be
probably
under
just,
the influence. It is a
hear
pursuit
him
that
go
we
by
first
the
heard about
cars that he's
when
passed
the
by.
sheriff.
It's, just a very, I would say, an unnerving sound. That's happened to me before, Des, when you're on the freeway and you see somebody behind you slightly. There's somebody there. Even though the lights are off, driving at over 100 miles per hour. That is pretty frightening. It's almost like your own vehicle rocks a little bit as this person drives by. And now he seems to be exiting.
Yeah, getting off the freeway here. So we're coming down to, I believe, Firestone Boulevard. See how he handles. We got a sound wall here. We're going to try to let's see which way he turns here. If we can get to the other side of the freeway here, guys. If he's going to make a left, or is he getting back on the freeway? I think he got back on the freeway. Yeah. Oh, wait. Yep. Okay. So he was trying to pull a fast one there with the cops by getting off and then back on again. But he's back on. Again with the blinker on, but with no lights on. Very, very strange. Okay, then the lights are back on. So it's just very random here. The lights are on, they're off, the blinker's on, it's off, cutting all over the place. 100 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour. It's like anything is game with this guy.
And I was going to ask you again, that there we go. There seems to be more traffic. And almost at this point, even if he exits the freeway, if he's going to drive at these high speeds on surface streets, that makes it even more dangerous. Well, look at that CHP vehicle right behind him, right on his rear.
Yeah, and I'm actually hearing him reading out, I believe, the license plate right now. I think they're trying to at least get the license plate of this person, so in case they lose him, maybe they can trace, you know, the license plate back or something like that. You know, worst case scenario, that maybe they could apprehend him at a later time. Just trying to cover their bases there. So, but every time that CHP, you know, speeds up to get behind this guy, he really slams on the gas pedal. And here we go, blacked out again. We have at least the spotlight from LA County Sheriff's deputies, but DUI driver, high speeds, lights out, very dangerous combination.
Yeah, I mean, you can barely see now when the spotlight isn't on him, for goodness sakes. He's on the 5 freeway, correct?
Yeah, he's on the 5, so now we're almost into Orange County, and at least there's no road work happening tonight. Of course, you know, this project that's been going on with the 5 for more than 10 years was thinking that maybe there would be some Caltrans activity, but doesn't appear to be the case tonight as he exits the freeway again. I believe now he's going to be getting off the freeway at Valley View. This is one of those brand new ramps that they just built as part of that project that I just mentioned. And we'll see where this is going to take him, flying through the intersection through that red light. So now we're down southbound on Knott, as heading down into the Buena Park area, getting into kind of a commercial area at the moment.
Yeah, now, so there he is on surface streets, and boy, look at that speed, Des. He's still 98 miles per hour on Knott Avenue. So he's still driving at very high rates of speed. You mentioned a commercial area, which, you know, when you get into those residential neighborhoods, that makes it a lot more dangerous because people could still.
Yeah, and we're watching this guy, you know, go through some red lights, not even slowing down through some of these, and then again with no headlights to even warn anybody who might be, you know, just happening to come through the area. So coming into now we're
what is he doing?
Okay, going through a gas station.
Gas station? Is he going to pull? No, he's going right out, isn't he? All right, and
now we're westbound on Orangethorpe.
So he just went through the gas station, and now he's doing a U-turn.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
was he
flip
driving
back around?
slow?
So we're on Orangethorpe.
You know, did you notice, Des, it almost seemed as if he paused to find out what he was going to do next?
Yeah, I probably had to catch his breath after driving the way that he was, just, you know, on the freeway.
Another
and
red light
now
there.
it looks like he's going to be taking the 91 freeway. So getting onto the westbound 91, it looks like. So, boy, we have covered a lot of ground, kind of looping back around to where we first heard this. Even though it was Carson Sheriff's, I believe the first calls we started hearing were in the Downey area, so kind of doubling back to that area, westbound on the 91.
And the interesting thing, too, Des, this started, they were really surveilling this guy, right? I mean, it's not as if, yeah, they were in surveillance mode at first, I guess, observing. And he obviously had to be driving recklessly, as you mentioned, for them to even pick it up in the first place. I'm just, at the times that we have watched this since we've been on the air, he seems to be in pretty good command of this vehicle. Not that he's not driving reckless, you know, going out of traffic, but we haven't seen him lose control, and hopefully we won't, because that would be an even more dangerous situation on this freeway here.
Yeah, and, you know, you're just cutting across all lanes there again with all of the, you know, his lights off. So, yeah, it was surveillance mode. The sheriffs actually sounded like they were willing to possibly cancel the pursuit completely. And here you got a great shot of that sheriff's airship here as they are, you know, following right alongside of this vehicle. So exiting the freeway at Carmenita, you still got CHP here with them. We'll see if they attempt any. Ooh, and he kind of pit maneuver really close there as he goes through that red light. Almost looked like he was going to go on the wrong side of the street. We'll just see if he's going to get right back on. It's kind of been his strategy, get off the freeway, then get back on.
Yeah.
See if that's what he's going to do here, as we're still kind of on, actually, in the city of Cerritos now at this point. Yeah, and now flipping back around, and let's see if he goes East 91.
And you know what? They've probably figured that out. And if he keeps getting off the freeway, coming off, getting back on, there's a possibility. From your vantage point there, Desmond, do you see more CHP or other law enforcement maybe at some intersections there, sort of awaiting or contemplating his next move?
No, this is the only unit that I've seen so far, and he's getting back on the freeway here, so continuing on the westbound 91. So it almost looked like, I mean, he flipped back around like maybe he wanted to find a ramp there for the 91, but there may not have been an entrance ramp, so he did a little maneuver there and and got back onto the westbound 91. Who knows what this guy's strategy is. Sometimes we see some of these pursuits kind of diabolical in their attempt to get away from the police, like we saw that motorcycle the other day that we covered, Pat. But so far this has just been fairly aimless. The only thing I can say so far is it seems to be trending back to where they first tried to pull this person over.
Going back to Cerritos. Look at that squeeze. Look at that squeeze.
Yeah, right between a couple
pretty
big
close
rigs.
to that. Yeah, that's certainly not a safe place to be. But I was talking about how he may be following a pattern here that would give law enforcement an opportunity. You would think to say, okay, well, he's showing us he's going to try this exit, get back on the freeway, exit again, do the same thing. Now he's off the freeway on Norwalk Boulevard.
Yeah, it would be excellent if CHP could, get in with a pit maneuver or something, but the problem is he's just stepping on the gas pedal too quickly as he gets off of the freeway, and they just don't really have an opportunity. Plus, the streets that he's been on have been, too crowded for them to attempt the pit maneuver, and certainly not going to happen at these speeds. Look, we're getting, not sure how accurate this map tracker is, but we are definitely really fast. Now looking at about 70 or so miles an hour on some of these surface streets with no lights on, and
look at this move.
Looked like he was going to do a U-turn, and then just ended up making a wide left turn onto Alondra Boulevard.
Yeah, but that CHP driver is right behind him. Now a more residential area makes it a little more dicier, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
No
doubt about it. Some tighter streets, and you got cars, parked on the side and kind of swerving from one direction to the other. And here's some of these hardworking truckers out here just trying to get, some of that stuff delivered to us to, unclog the ports. And here comes this guy flying along with no headlights right next to him.
And again, making he had his signal on as if he was going to make a lane change there. And at one point, he was driving at over 100 miles per hour, like he is now. Seemed to slow down, but then pick up speed again, which is what he's doing right now. Okay, lights are back
I think
on.
I just saw a CHP officer on the opposite side as well. Just want to widen out to see if there's any units behind him, and they've kind of backed off again. So at the moment, it's just the helicopter that's been so diligent in following this. And okay, they actually just said they're back in tracking mode. So we'll see what CHP's role is going to be like this in the future. But they wanted to go back into tracking because it has gotten so dangerous for the public out here. And it looks like he is going to be getting back on the freeway. Although, they said tracking, but now here's CHP getting right here with him. And we are going to be southbound on the 605 freeway. So let's see, we've been on the 710, the 5, we've been on the 710, the 5, the 91.
And now the 605.
Now the 605. So yeah, checking off a lot of freeways here on this pursuit.
And the reason I mentioned the law enforcement possibly, trying to stave him off at intersections or contemplating his next move, because the reason being for that is I'm thinking possibly they can throw down a spike strip, but that's because they would expect him to come to that particular area where they would lay the strip down and he would go over it. But, as fast as he's going and he seems to change course so quickly, that certainly doesn't give them time to contemplate what move he's going to make next.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I did hear them asking if there were any nearby units that had a spike strip. So that was, they were kind of in the loose planning stages of that. But considering that he's been on the freeway most of the time with this one, it's going to make it pretty much near impossible, especially at these speeds. We have seen it done a few times with spike strips on the freeway, but those are those pursuits where you have someone who's just kind of sticking to one side of the freeway, kind of going the speed limit, not doing all this erratic driving, getting on and off the freeway. It takes a lot of planning, a lot of setup, so I would not anticipate that we're going to see that while he's on the freeway. And then, when he's off the freeway, let's see what happens here as he exits once again. And you know,
Yes.
I'm saying a he, but we don't know if it's a he or a she. We haven't verified that, but it's just been too erratic on surface streets for them to get into any planning to use a spike strip.
Okay, now does this look familiar, or is this new territory here?
Yeah. Well, he
back
just
on the-
got off of this on the 605 and now on the eastbound 91.
So he seems to have this pattern of going north, south, you know, turning around, going the same direction, getting off, and then heading back to where he was before, but not necessarily where this first started, the surveillance first started. So again, don't know exactly what this guy is thinking about. I keep saying guy. We know that there is one occupant in the vehicle. I think that has been confirmed, and we're just assuming that it is a guy. And the fact that he knows they're after him. He knows that. They're overhead, they're on the ground. So why he was going so slowly in the beginning, or as if, you know, not drawing too much attention to himself, and then just decided, well, I'm just going to go for it, and is driving at a ridiculous amount of speed with no lights on, knowing that he's going to get caught one way or the other. Even if they go in track mode, they still will know where he is and can pick him up even in another jurisdiction if they have to.
And he's stopping. He's coming to a stop on the freeway. Incredibly dangerous at a complete stop in lanes with no lights on at all. I mean, we've got CHP units that are right there.
Right there.
So that would at least alert, and that would at least alert the public. But so, okay, that was another, you know, trick he was trying to pull there, where turn off the lights, slam on the brakes, and see if you get the cops to pass you. I think that's what he was trying to do. And but, you know, the police, of course, were privy to it, and they stopped. And, you know, let's mention, too, I think this is an Audi A4. I'm not a huge Audi person, so I'm sure one of my car friends will correct me, but I believe it's an A4. Fairly competent car, depending on, you know, what engine he has equipped. A decently handling car as well. Definitely a vehicle that's, you know, capable of making some sudden moves and some pretty sudden acceleration as well. Even though it is an 11-year-old car. I believe they said a 2010 Audi.
Yeah, 2010.
Off the freeway again, back onto Orangethorpe, where we have been before. Looked like he was going to try to get back on, but eastbound Orangethorpe as we parallel the 91 freeway.
You know, it makes me wonder, Desmond, if they're pretty confident that they're going to bring this to a close at some point, because, again, now we've seen him cover some pretty familiar territory. Do you see any more vehicles in terms of, like, there's a bigger presence of law enforcement, or no?
No, not so far. We just had that one unit that was in pursuit, and they're kind of, you know, hanging back at points and then starting to re-engage, and it's just kind of been a touch-and-go situation. A lot of times you'll see other agencies kind of standing by when you have a pursuit like this. You might see other police pop up, you know, on the other side of the road, just kind of standing by in the area, monitoring the situation. If there's a sudden change, if he's going to get out and run, and then they could be, you know, positioned for that. But we have not seen that so far. We've only seen really the one CHP officer, and this is now the CHP helicopter. They just came to relieve the LA County Sheriff's deputies helicopter. So it looks like here we go again onto the westbound 91. So really beginning to loop around, and and I would hope that him doing this, maybe this could give the authorities the opportunity to you know, get in place and maybe lay a spike strip off at Carmenita or on Orangethorpe in case he does that again.
And we've seen this time and time again too, Desmond. Even if they don't have ground units that we can see, they can show up at any given moment, right? It's sort of like they all come out of, like, where were they? And they can converge in an area in a second. And that's obviously from, you know, getting directions from the chopper overhead, and, you know, takes a phone call or radio, and they show up and really converge on this driver. We've seen that before, and that could possibly be in play here, you know, even though, because we don't see many units on the ground or in the area, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot, does it?
Yeah, you know, they do a good job of hiding along the sidelines, and where you may only see the one unit behind them, and then as soon as they get out and run, all of a sudden it's almost like they're camouflaged or something. You'll see officers, you know, come out of wherever they've been hiding to come and set up a perimeter or whatever they have to do to bring this to an end. But we got a fresh tank of gas from the CHP helicopter overhead. That's the good news there. They gave relief to the LA County Sheriff's deputies that were following this one from the air for so long. And there's the lone unit that has been in pursuit. Of course, dispatchers behind the scene, they're always communicating the movements to a lot of other agencies. We could hear them earlier when they were saying, hey, this is LAPD's Hollenbeck Division, let them know. Hey, this is East LA Sheriff's Division, let them know. So all of the agencies are going to be privy to what's going on in their jurisdiction, despite the fact that at the moment we just have this lone CHP officer in pursuit.
All right, well, so again, now I'm looking at 129 miles per hour. This is just pretty incredible because as we've watched Desmond, I must say, I mean, he sort of makes it look effortless. It's thank goodness we haven't really seen, I don't want to, when I say too many close calls, we did see some moves there that could possibly cause some alarm. But for the most part, thank goodness there has been no interaction with other cars, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're just lucky that traffic is so light right now, Pat, because when you're talking about these speeds and no lights on at all, it's fairly miraculous that we haven't seen anything super close at this point. It just, even like I said, anyone just accidentally, not seeing him and making a lane change into him and causing a horrible high-speed crash on the freeway. Hearing a lot of big rigs out right now. That's going to be, I know we've been talking a lot about the ports of LA, and we're expecting to see a large ramp up in big rig traffic in the overnight hours as they try to unclog the ports. And so that's something that we're going to start to see a lot more of these late night hours, or a lot of big rigs out now coming down to a stop again. So you see him again.
What is this?
Coming down.
Wait a minute.
This is what he did earlier, coming down, to a stop.
Right next to another car.
And maybe even kind of trying to use them in some way to his advantage. It almost looked like, but the same thing he did earlier on the eastbound 91 when he came to a complete stop to try to get the police to fly by him, but once again it didn't work.
Okay, so he's doing a lot of tomfoolery out there too now. He's into tricks, thinking that that's going to buy him some time, or either that or he just doesn't care and he's just doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
let me try this.
Right, and we would just really love to see a pit maneuver or something, but it's just not going to happen with these kind of really high speeds on surface streets. This driver's just, like I said, he's getting right on that gas pedal. I mean, the best thing at this point, or it might just come down to this guy running out of gas or something, the way that he's driving. This is a fairly sporty sedan, right through that red light, not even slowing down, through another one, not even slowing down at all. So if this doesn't end in a crash, it might just have to end with this guy running out of gas, the way this is going, and who knows how long that could take.
Now he just made a turn there. He's in Bellflower. And this...
Man, this is the best...
oh, wait a minute,
we
Des.
see him reaching around.
Yeah. That's the first time we've actually seen inside that vehicle.
Yeah, and he actually kind of helped us out. Looked like he turned on his map light there, and we could see him fidgeting around for something it looked like on the floorboard, and extremely dangerous. So that this guy, at least in that moment, was not even paying attention as he's going this fast with no lights on a surface street. Now on the wrong side of the road to get around traffic, really close here through another red light. So that's definitely the scariest thing we've seen so far. You could just imagine if that guy was sitting in the left turn lane. Here comes this guy flying on the wrong side of the road on his left to get around. I'm sure that guy's shaken up. But
I'll bet he is.
Yeah.
Because that's the other, it's other people's calculations, and they may not be as, well, they're not behind the wheel of his. Well, look at that. Just drove right in front of that person, making that turn, cutting them off.
Yeah.
They could have come in contact there, and I'm sure now that just even ramps up. CHP is probably, thinking, wow, now he's just getting even more almost agitated, if it were, if we saw him reaching down on the floorboard, driving in a very dangerous situation here.
Yeah, And here we are back on the freeway again on the 605. So it's almost close enough that there seems like there's a pattern, and maybe you could get officers standing by, but they're not going to be able to do spike strips or anything even with these high speeds, even on surface streets. I just don't see an officer getting out there and endangering themselves trying to unfurl that spike strip when this guy's flying by. It would just be way too difficult with the timing, and it's just incredible that this has not ended in a crash already.
You know, well, I've noticed he hasn't gone back to the 710 freeway. I mean, when we started with this, Desmond, you mentioned he was on the northbound 710, then the northbound 5, then the 91 freeway, the 605. He's back on the 605 freeway, and this is the area, seems to be his area of choice, if you will, these particular freeways, because I haven't noticed that he got back on the 710.
Yeah, you're right. 91, 605, those are the two we've seen him get on and off of those freeways several times now. And they may have gone back into tracking mode at the moment just to see if this person's going to calm down at all after, especially what we saw on the surface streets, or maybe they're going to have another CHP unit be ready to engage up ahead. Sometimes you'll see that where they'll kind of back out, and then you could get, let's say, so we're southbound 605 at Carson, maybe as we get down to Del Amo or Willow Street, you'll have an officer down there waiting on the on-ramp on the shoulder, just kind of ready to get involved, if the moment is right. But I believe they've backed off again at this point. We're not seeing any units on the ground. Just actually, I spoke too soon. There they are again. But it's just been really, really touch and go. I think we've heard surveillance mode, tracking mode, re-engage, the tracking, surveillance, just kind of going back and forth for the whole duration of this pursuit.
And again, we have not seen, when you said there they go again, it's been that single unit, right, Desmond? We don't have like several CHP cars behind this, which we've seen before, which certainly does happen. Seems to be a single unit following behind and the airship overhead.
Yeah, that's right. Just the one unit there. We haven't seen more than one at any point during this pursuit, which is fairly unusual. A lot of times, especially if we're talking about LAPD, there'll be a lot more than one path.
All right, well, Desmond, we want to tell our viewers right now, we were supposed to bring you a story about traveling to Las Vegas. We will post it on our social media when we will air that story. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is next on CBS2, but we will be staying with this pursuit on CBSN Los Angeles. You can watch on CBSLA.com right now. All right, well, here we are, Desmond, on CBSN Los Angeles, and we have been following this DUI, reckless DUI suspect driving in an Audi, a silver Audi, 2010. He has primarily stuck to freeways. We've watched him on the northbound 710 and then get on the northbound 5, then the 91 freeway, the 605. He has come up, I wanted to say come up for air, but he has been on surface streets a few times, but then still gets back to these freeways that seem to be familiar to him, as Desmond will explain, because they've primarily been the same ones. Now, is this a new, well, this is Seal Beach, Desmond.
Yeah, this is a new one here. So we're coming towards the end of, as you get to the southbound 605, you have two options, either go to the 405 or to the end of the 22 West, which takes you towards the Long Beach area, and that's what we're seeing right now. So this is going to turn into a surface street here momentarily, still driving without the lights on. Just so dangerous, but for whatever reason feeling the need to use his turn signal. A very weird combination, but over there zooming by these cars at up to 100 miles an hour. So we're going to be headed towards Long Beach area. Like I said, we got a huge group of trees right here. We'll see how fast this guy's going. It looked like even the
there he is.
CHP helicopter was having trouble keeping track of this guy, but it has been a dangerous one, Pat. Amazing it has not ended in a crash.
That's true. It's been dangerous primarily because the amount of speed that he's traveling. We've seen him go in and out of traffic. At one point, the most difficult or the most dangerous maneuver, Des, would you say was a little while ago when he actually was on the wrong side of the street traveling at a high speeds.
Yeah,
And now
I
look
mean,
at
he was about 80 miles an hour and went right to the wrong side of the roadway and didn't even think of it. So, yeah, that has been dangerous, and it might get a lot more dangerous because we're coming up
Traffic.
to an area that's pretty congested. You see they're kind of forcing that vehicle over to the left-hand lane and to make space for himself. So, really dangerous here as we've been on the free. I mean, he's basically been driving at freeway speeds on all of these surface streets, still doesn't have his lights on. And I believe we're going to get into a fairly congested area with a lot of traffic lights shortly. We're not too far away from Cal State Long Beach.
Okay, well that certainly makes the situation even more dire, I would say, for police wanting to get this guy off the roads at this point, because we're going to pass more, as you said, the Cal State Long Beach area. I'm trying to discern if we're looking at some businesses here, so don't see a lot of residents, if I'm correct. From where I can see from here, Desmond, looks like he's still in a resident. Well, now those look like some residences. Is that right? That looks like
kind
a
of
neighborhood.
in a little mixed area here. You've got some on the wrong side of the road again. Yeah, it's kind of, wow, this is pretty scary here. But yeah, you're seeing some apartment buildings, some homes, but then some businesses, and okay, so this is interesting. Thanks to our assignment desk, we just found out that the registered owner of the car lives in Long Beach. So let's see, maybe this is going to be trending towards an end. A lot of times these suspects like to go to their house or to a neighborhood where maybe they think that they can get the jump on police if they just have a few minutes and they know a neighborhood better, or they can go run into their house and start a standoff and buy more time or whatever. We'll just have to see what happens in the next few minutes. But if this is the registered owner, we are, theoretically in, their home turf here where the vehicle is registered. But you saw him blow through a couple more red lights right there, and making a sudden turn now onto St. Louis Avenue in Long Beach. And
he's pulling in.
Here we go. Going into an alley. Here's somebody.
Oh, he almost hit somebody.
Let's see where this alley. Yeah, let's see where this alley ends up. We'll try to keep these buildings out of the way. And it goes back through. So this is what we talk about going to an area that they know. There's the CHP helicopter. But, he went through that alley, obviously knowing where it was going and that it wasn't, a one-way alley or wasn't going to be blocked off with something. So, but we are on the small streets on the wrong side of the road and still no lights on.
He's making a left turn. It's interesting. We've seen this move before as well, Desmond. He probably knows that he is going to be caught eventually, so he could just be even going to his own home and pulling up in the driveway and getting out with his hands up, which, the sooner the better would be good. That's less chance of somebody getting hurt. Look at this. More traffic there.
It almost
more narrow streets.
We've seen it. We've seen it a lot of times, Matt. It seems like a sense of pride or something, or I don't know how to describe it, but when you see them drive to their house, and we've seen pursuits where they go and then their family members are there, and it turns into a dramatic thing. So, we'll definitely have to see if it ends up that way, or if this guy, is guy or gal. It did look like a guy from that one perspective that we got from inside the vehicle briefly, but we'll see if they are headed to their home. If this is the owner of this 2010 Audi A4.
Well, who has really been on a joyride for the most part of the night, at least for almost an hour from the time we went on the air. Not quite an hour, but heading in that direction and just driving rather recklessly or aimlessly, leading police, on surface streets, then back on the highway, and now in an area where he's familiar and officers do know that the vehicle is registered. Did you say he's at a hospital?
He's driving. Yeah, this is a hospital, I believe, that he's driving through right now. Let's see what's going on.
Is that a parking? Oh, is he driving up to the entrance?
Here we go. He's out. Let's get beyond these trees. The driver is out.
There he goes.
And he's got some trees. Yeah, I believe this is a hospital right here off of Elm Avenue. And we'll see. CHP's done a fantastic job of keeping their spotlight on this suspect the whole time. But out and running. They've got a hoodie on. They've got him lit up really well.
They sure do.
That's going to be the train tracks right there. formerly the Blue Line. I'm not sure what number that was renamed recently, but we're on to 12th Street in Long Beach. This guy's really been sprinting. They always take off pretty fast.
He's slowing down
he's
now.
wearing a hoodie too,
Oh,
so
no,
he's
going.
gonna get hot pretty quickly. Yeah, we'll see how much longer he can keep it up. I mean, wearing a well, he had his hands up. Looked like he has something in his hands, like maybe he wants to toss something. It looks like a belt.
He just did.
Not sure what the
Well,
point
here
of
they
that
go.
was, but ooh, the takedown.
Ooh, they got him.
And they got him. Oh no, he still thinks he can get away. Oh, he's gonna get tased.
Oh, that's what they're doing.
He's gonna get tased. Yeah, I saw those red lights out there. They had a taser in their hand. So you see what happens, you know, when you don't comply. If he would have just gone down the first time, he would have at least avoided that really nasty electric shock. But they got him here. 12th Street and Palmer Court in Long Beach, Pat, is where this one came to a sudden ending.
But you know, that's what we had been saying, that when it looks like they're, you know, you don't see many law enforcement around, they sure pulled up quickly. They came out of nowhere actually, and really to run after him like they did and catch up with him. And then, you know, they tased him because he didn't give himself up. So, all right, well, Desmond.
Yeah, and, you know,
No, say.
I was just going to say, Pat, really quick, if I could. It looked like, you know, he was driving to that hospital there. I don't know if it was Little St. Mary's in Long Beach, but maybe he was trying to go to a wide open area with some big buildings. Maybe he thought he could go run in, but you know, CHP was right there. And
well, you know what, you referenced it.
Code 4.
You referenced it last night. We had the Holiday Inn, and we thought maybe he could have run into the hospital tonight, but he did not. But again, he is apprehended, and you called it a code 4. So Desmond, thanks a lot. Great job reporting up there tonight.
All right, thank you, Pat. My
Okay,
pleasure.
you're going to go home, and so are we. So we'll check in with you tomorrow.
All
And
right,
we want to
we'll
thank.
talk to you then.
Okay, we want to thank our viewers for watching us on CBSN Los Angeles, and we hope you have a good evening. And remember, we are on 24/7.
Wobbly, but they are also losing their patience here. I mean, he's definitely not exactly cooperating either. So they have a complicated situation. You know, just you think about all of the stories we've done about the training in situations like this. They have to subdue this dangerous suspect, but at the same time, he is now in their custody, which means he is technically in their care. They have to keep him. You know, they have to keep him.
They have to keep him safe and alive.
Exactly.
Their job is not to administer punishment. It is to simply apprehend and make a case. The DA will then take it from there, and a judge and jury will decide what sort of punishment he receives, not the officers that are arresting him. They are following that protocol, it appears right now, and following it the way they're supposed to. So they're taking him into custody. They're doing an additional search He was wobbly, but he's going to wobble off to jail now, and that is the end of this pursuit.
Sure is. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, though. That was really scary for a few minutes back there where he was booking through Bellflower and other parts of Long Beach. You really thought he could hurt somebody, especially with some of the moves he was making with his lights blacked out like that. A chase like that, coming to an end like this, is not a bad night for the CHP.
Indeed. All right, so that is it. It has come to a peaceful ending in spite of the potential for real danger and real damage. The suspect is in custody. Nobody hurt that we have been made aware of. So that is it for our coverage here of this pursuit of a DUI suspect by the California Highway Patrol. I'm Mark Brown along with Chris Christie. On behalf of all of us at Eyewitness News, thank you very much for watching. We'll be back here tomorrow night. Good night.